The issue of presidential pardons has long been a topic of intense debate, particularly in the context of President Donald J. Trump's actions during his time in office. Many critics argue that Trump has abused the power of the presidency by granting pardons to individuals whose actions raise serious ethical and moral questions. This is not limited to those involved in the January 6th insurrection. It extends to a range of individuals, including a sheriff accused of corruption and a husband and wife reality television duo convicted of fraud. These decisions have sparked significant concern about the implications of such pardons and the potential for misuse of executive power. One of the primary arguments against Trump's pardoning practices is that they reflect a troubling disregard for the rule of law. Critics contend that the president's actions undermine the justice system and send a message that accountability can be sidestepped by those with connections or public notoriety. The pardons granted to individuals with questionable backgrounds, particularly those perceived as having engaged in corrupt or unethical behavior, raise alarms about the integrity of the office. This perception of favoritism and the potential for political motivation in pardoning decisions could further erode public trust in governmental institutions. On the other hand, proponents of presidential pardons argue that they serve as a necessary check on the justice system, allowing for mercy in cases where the legal system may have been overly punitive. They contend that the power to grant clemency can be a tool for correcting injustices or acknowledging rehabilitation. However, the concern remains that such power can easily be exploited, particularly when wielded by a president whose decisions may appear arbitrary or self-serving. Moreover, the demographic trends surrounding Trump's pardons have also sparked debate. While he has pardoned a few African Americans during his term, critics highlight that the majority of individuals receiving clemency have been white, raising questions about equity and fairness in the application of this power. Such disparities can contribute to a narrative of systemic bias within the justice system and the executive branch, further complicating the discussion around the ethical implications of presidential pardons. In conclusion, the pros and cons of President Trump's approach to pardons reflect broader questions about the balance of power, justice, and equity in governance. As the debate continues, many advocates for reform argue for limiting the scope of presidential pardons to prevent potential abuses, ensuring that such powers are exercised in a manner that aligns with democratic principles and justice for all.